Hello YouTubers, it's me again, your girl. I am Medusa, and I'm here to actually give you guys a video about my life, about the story of my life on the tough times that I went through as a transgender person. And oh, thank you very much for all my subscribers. And if you're new and you just joined us, please do press the subscribe button, and then we can just chat more and then see if you can actually see what's gonna be going on. And thank you very much for the beautiful comments and everything that you guys have been very supportive with. Okay, please stay tuned and then all right. And I remember the first time I understood that I was different. It was in grade, I think it was grade 1, first grade. Yeah. I was young, I was flamboyant, this young flamboyant boy. But I was in primary by that time, and in the school that I was attending at that time. And I do remember I was a very flamboyant child. I used to play with girls. I used to have so many dolls. I used to just show my femininity, because there's one thing that I know about a child. When you're a child, you are your true self. There is no hindering forces, or there is no outside voices that can conform you to what they want you to be. Because by that time you are young, you just want to be happy, you want to play, you want to do whatever makes you happy, which is, they actually call it the less resistant phase. Because I was not resistant to anything. I was just taking everything as it comes, and I was quite happy. And I remember my first experience when I understood that I was an LGBTQ child. At that time, there was a teacher. I was passing 2 teachers. They were just talking. I was passing them, and I was all flamboyant and all, snappy, chatty kind of a child. And they started looking at me with this confusion look. And I remember there was a male and a female teacher. And the male teacher went like, "Is this a girl or a boy?" And the female teacher answered, and she said, "I think this is one of those gay things. I think it's just those terrible gay stuff that they are always doing out there." And I'm like, what is gay? How can someone call me something with such anger, with such resentment? So I went on to understand what is gay. It took me some time, because by that time, like, there was not much on TV, and people who were gay, they were called intersexual people. They've got 2 private parts, all of those things. So it was a bit confusing. I was like, but I don't have 2 parts. I only have one sexual organ on my body, and I know it, and I know how it looks like, and I hate it, yes. But why do they call me an intersex, a person who's born with 2 genitals? So it confused me for quite a while, until I think I was in grade 4. And the time when I was studying, I think I was around about 10, 11, 12, because I was in a higher grade in my primary school. I think I was on grade 4 or 5. So by the time I could understand what's going on around me. I could understand what's male, female. My mind was starting to grasp what's going on around me. So I was getting a bit older. I was getting a bit matured by that time. So I remember I was watching TV, and I saw this talk show. I do remember it was called Take 5. I'll try to put up the picture of that show, because I do remember it was the one that made me understood that I was different. I remember on that show there were some transgender people that were there, dressed in female clothes, makeup, all the works. And I looked at them. I saw myself. I saw that this is me. This is who I know that I need to look like that. Like, it was something that I was seeing, it was something that I saw myself in. And but by that time they were not calling themselves transgenders. They were mainly calling themselves gay, because that was just the word that they were using. But you could see that they're highly transgender. They would dress as girls, they look like girls, they've got makeup, they've got everything, they've got the words. So me seeing those trans sisters, it made me realize that I am quite different too. I'm just like them. And what I did is, after I've started to investigate what is transgender, why are we so different? Started going through stuff, finding things on magazines. By that time, internet was not even that available, so you just have to find it where you can find it. And I grew up by the way, while I was in primary, the time, especially when I was around about 13, I was doing grade 7. I do remember when it's time to use the loo, I was bullied in school in terms of my sexuality. I was bullied by teachers. I was bullied by my peers, my friends. I was just taking a lot of bullying, and I got through it. When it's time to actually use the loo, they always tell me that I'm a boy and I have to use the boys' toilet. So, okay, in a very young age, you don't care much, you just want to go to the loo. So I remember once I went to the toilet and there were a bunch of boys standing there. The ones that never want to attend any periods, don't want to attend any classes. They would be sitting there at the toilet. And I do remember I was going to the loo and they started pushing me around, bullying me, telling me that I'm a sissy boy, calling me names. And what actually happened is that they started to touch me, to feel if I've got two genitals and stuff, because everybody was knowing that when you're this flamboyant and you're a boy, then you've got to have two genitals. You cannot only have one, which I wish I had. Anyway, it traumatized me. I was traumatized by so many people who had no knowledge on what is gay, what is transgender, what is an LGBTQ community. And by that time, I was really, really young. I was traumatized to use the toilet. And I've started to run to the nearest houses close to our schools every time when I need to go to the loo, to use their loo. Thank God that our schools were not closing gates much at that time, and you could just go in and out. So when it's time for me to use the loo, trust me, especially break time, I firstly go to somebody's house and come back, and that's when I will be okay. So I took that with me, that instead of going to the loo, I rather go to this school toilets. I rather go outside, and outside the gates. It was dangerous for me to actually go outside the gates. It was unsafe, but I rather take that risk than to be traumatized by those people who just don't understand that I'm different. So I used to run to go to those toilets and try by saying that I need to use the loo. So I had to adapt to the system of not using the school loo. And I've never told anybody from the school, especially teachers, were just useless to me. They were not supportive. They were just some other world. And I finished my primary and I went to high school. And in high school, what I discovered, I saw that there was no difference. He said that it was the most hardest place ever, because now I'm developing into this boy, this Frankenstein that I don't like, and I started to be so depressed, liking a guy, knowing that a guy does not like me. Boys just see this as a boy, I will never touch this person, everything. And it was extremely hard. It was really hard. But one thing that I like about myself, I was such a tough cookie. As much as, if you can ask me about what happened to me in my childhood, beautiful memories, I don't have any beautiful memories because I've blocked them. I've blocked every memory. Even for me to remember these experiences, I had to go back to my feelings to even remember what happened to me. I started being depressed. I started seeing that people now are starting to have boyfriends, people are starting to have girlfriends. I can't have either or, because I don't want to be involved with a girl. I want to be involved with a guy, but I can't be involved with a guy because I'm well known as a weird person. And then when I was in high school, I continued to use the outside toilets also there, because that was the system that I was used to. And I do remember there was a traumatic experience that happened to one of, well, there were two of us, and we both were on the LGBTQ community. The other friend of mine was actually gay, and I was trans. So I do remember he experimented with an eyebrow pen. So he put on an eyebrow pen, and then we went to an assembly. And I remember the friends of my friend, the gay friend, and they started to laugh at him. There was this big woo-ha about him wearing an eyebrow pen, which it was such a spectacle, and I could see the shame in his eyes. I could see the embarrassment in his eyes. And I've never even spoke to him about it, but I do remember that experience very clearly. It traumatized me as much as it traumatized him, because I felt like, oh God, the whole entire assembly started laughing at him, and it was really bad. It was horribly bad. And but he's okay now, and he's doing quite well. But that experience, I really wish that we could sit down one day and talk about it and see what happened to him in terms of his feelings, his fears, because I felt like he became so tamed. He started to push to be masculine, and finishing high school was a breeze, because I was the type of child who just loved books, and I would make sure that I pass. And then I finished my high school, went to college, where I was living in that village. So I went to the big city in Johannesburg, and I've stayed there. It was the time I started living there until last year, which was in 2020, and I came back to my old town because we got retrenched and all of that. Anyway, what actually happened is that I do remember my biggest experience there, it was when it comes to sharing a dorm room with the student there. They always say male must share with males, and I must share with a male because, well, everything on my ID is all about male, and they did not. And I was living with a bunch of boys. We were 4 in one dorm. We're sharing like 4 people in one dorm room. So it was really hard. Those boys were abusing me. They were traumatizing me in so many ways, using my stuff, knowing exactly that I can't fight for myself. It was so horrible to the point that every time when they see me while they're wearing towels, they're half naked, coming out of the shower, they'll be feeling like, okay, now if you're looking at me, then you must be wanting me, ew, and they just make me feel bad about myself. They make me feel bad about myself. I remember I've changed rooms so many times. I've changed dorm rooms so many times to a point that I just couldn't do it anymore. When I was feeling like I'm about to quit everything, I'm gonna change the whole entire rest where I was in. I wanted to just go to a different rest, and I remember I was in a lift and I met these two wonderful girls who became my best friend. They started asking me what's wrong, and I told them everything was going on in there. And then they were like, you know what, we don't have two roommates, why don't you move in with us? That's where my life started to change. It's like I feel like God sent those two girls to come into my life and save me from myself. And we started being friends, and from there what I did is that I changed that room, and I started changing that place into a gay sanctuary where we started recruiting more gay people. We started having more gay people to come over, and we will try to even recruit them. We're calling it recruiting. I do remember we called it recruiting, and we started recruiting more and more gay people. That's why I've made my long lifetime best friend, Sia. Love you, boo. And we started being friends from there. Yeah, and I've saved a lot of people who were highly depressed with everything that was going on, and we started being friends. We started hanging out, and it was a very good memory from there. Everything was working out for me very well. That's when I knew that in life, no matter how many hardships you go through, you will definitely be okay. Now I am quite okay. So what I want to say to all the little transgenders, little gay people, all the LGBTQ people out there, that keep on fighting, keep on loving yourself, keep on being safe, and don't ever sell yourself short. Don't ever try to conform. What you are beautiful. This is Aina Medusa, signing out.